Good evening. Welcome once more to Njenje Media TV. This evening, I welcome you all to this conversation that we have titled Addressing the Dots in the Circle in President Muhammadu Buhari's interview, which he granted to Arise News 2 days ago. Now, in that interview, there arose a question. Are we in a return, or are we seeing 1966 repeat itself? I do not want to take much of our time. There is a portion of that interview that is, in my estimation, very worrying. Njenje Media has undertaken this to get people to speak about this particular issue. Especially, the president made reference to the South-South. As you all are aware, in the last couple of months, years, there has been efforts to bring in the people of these regions together. Reading and watching that interview, one would then ask, what is actually happening? To bring clarity to this and to help us understand what is actually happening, I will have the pleasure this evening to have tested people within this arena. I have the pleasure to bring in Rear Admiral Geoffrey Yanga, retired. Many of you know him. He is a man who has seen it from the beginning, and he's still active. An elder. It is a privilege to say that we have him here amongst us today. I do not know if Rear Admiral Yanga is able to unmute and turn on his camera to say hello to the house this evening. Rear Admiral, once more I say good evening to you. You can now unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself. While he's doing that, I also have the privilege to bring in here, many of you know him as Asari Dokubo, a man who has been in this struggle for so long. Alhaji, I think it's still going to join us, and our back office, if he's here already, can you spotlight him? While you do that, I use the opportunity also to bring in our sister, mother to many, and also a person who never gets tired, a passionate fighter. I call her fondly the Amazon of the Niger Delta. I have the privilege to bring in Annkio Briggs, who also, as many of you know, is a human rights activist, an environmental rights activist as well. Annkio Briggs, good evening and welcome to today's conversation. In the same vein, you can unmute yourself if you so wish, please.
I'm trying. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right, good. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I also have the privilege to introduce to us my brother from another mother, in the person of Dr. Don Pedro Obaseki, the only man standing. He knows what I'm talking about. It's a privilege to bring you back here again. Thank you very much, brother. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you very much, Maazi. God bless you.
You're blessed.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I do not know if Lieutenant Colonel Tony Nyiam has joined us.
Yes.
Okay, so back office, are you able to spotlight Nyiam for us? I think, yes, I can see him. Please, if you can start your camera. So if you don't mind, you can say hello to us. We might like to see your wonderful face. I say again, he's one of those who, at a critical moment, at certain time in our history, with late Gideon Okar, tried correcting some of the things they felt was going wrong. It's a pleasure once more, it's an honor actually, to have him be in our midst. Sir, oh, okay, I can see him now. It's always good to see him. Always good. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Nyiam. Nyiam is the name.
Yes, I know.
Nothing Nyiam.
Nyiam, like, you've already, you also
Like
said.
Nyiam. Like
Like Nyiam, but with N. Nyiam.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, so the last but not the least, I also have a man that many of you know in the person of Mr. Tony Nnadi. I know he's a very busy person as we speak. He's also in another meeting trying to do multiple things at the same time. It's also a privilege to have him here. Tony Nnadi, also a privilege. I can see him here still speaking. That's that's a very busy person he is. But without further ado, let us quickly start. I do not know if Asari is here. Okay, not. Maybe Asari, if you're joining us with a different device, kindly let us know so that we can put you in the spotlight. Now, people, I am very specific to this conversation this evening. I want to narrow down to the statements made by the president himself without the fear of misquoting someone. What I want to do is to play that clip for us to listen. And I would give every of our guest, our speaker, couple of minutes, maximum 3 to 5 minutes, to speak on this segment. Afterwards, we will come back. If there are issues to respond to, we will do that. Then, once we finish with our concluding thoughts, then we can go back to the audience, take commentary and questions from the audience. The outcome of this meeting today, we hope to hit the press by Monday. Well, those that are on the internet, hopefully we will start by tomorrow. On that note, please let us pay attention to these words carefully because this will form the basis of this discussion this evening.
Not
Can we hear
hearing.
that?
We're not hearing.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Not hearing.
How are we going to resolve the crisis in the Southeast? Well, Southeast, I was encouraged by what I heard. Nobody told me. 2 statements from the South. One by elderly people. No, South. Yes, by elderly people. They said this time around there will be no access to sea. I'm sure you will understand what they mean. Again, the youth made the same statement. That encouraged me. So that EPOB is just like a dot in a circle. If they want to exist, they would have no access to anywhere. And the way they are spread all over the country, having businesses, having property, I think IPOB doesn't know what they are talking about. In any case, we said we'll talk to them in the language they understand. We'll organize the police and the military to pursue them. That's what we can do, and we will do it.
Okay, thank you all for listening to that. Now, there are critical things here, and hence this conversation. He said that he has spoken to, or he has some extractions from the South elders. That is not, there's not going to be like before. There's not going to be any access.
Yeah, hello.
No, Tony, hold on. I would bring you in. There's not going to be. Yeah, there's not going to be any access to the sea, and that
I didn't start the recording right at the
the people of the Southeast, which in this interview, I must make this clarification, there is an interchange here. There is a swap, sometimes with IPOB and with Ndibo. That must be noted. And that they are like a people, a dot in a cycle. Now, again, they have properties everywhere. I do not know if you watching me now understand that the way some of us understood it. Please, let me kickstart this segment by bringing in, I don't know if I'll start with Annkio Briggs. Annkio, you've watched that video, I believe, multiple times before you saw it again today. Looking at it now, in 3 to 5 minutes, what do you think?
May I first of all, very briefly, start off by saying that I am speaking with a level of personal experience. When I say I'm speaking with a level of personal experience, I mean that I am speaking with experience of the war, of the Civil War. I was a teenager during the Civil War. I was very much aware when Adakaboro declared the Republic. I was very much aware when the coup happened. And I was very much aware of the revenge that accumulated into what was then described and remains a pogrom and a genocide against the people that were in the north. Now, albeit Ndibo are the people that were in larger number, as they still are, because of their industriousness in northern Nigeria at that time. But I'm also aware that at no time when they were killing people did they ever stop to ask whether you were Igbo or Ijo or Ishekiri or whatever in 67 that led up to the pogrom. So basically, all the people that they attacked were identified as Nyamini people, and that is the then Eastern people from the Eastern region that is now today the South and the Southeast. So listening to the president referring to Igbo people as a dot in a circle, I will take away the fact that it is offensive to refer to a people that have an identity as a dot in a circle. It doesn't matter if Igbo people or Ijo people or Shekiri people are only 10 people or 100,000 people. You don't refer to them as a dot in a circle. So that already shows very clearly the mindset of the person of President Buhari. Earlier on, you started off with a clip where he himself admits that as far as he is concerned, he made that statement that people are guilty until they have proven themselves innocent. So basically, Buhari has a law or approaches the law and legalities in his own interpretation, and hence he exposes his mind and his thinking. He said of the people of the South, he indicated, he said, I heard. He did like this, he said, I heard. He said, nobody told me. So that the elders of the South and the youths of the South said that this time there will be no access to the sea. Now, first of all, I don't even recall any access or non-access to the sea during the onslaught of the civil war. It was actually the federal government that came through the sea and the creeks. So having settled that, there are millions of elders and there are millions of youths in the Niger Delta. And there are ethnic nationalities in the Niger Delta that make up the South. Now, for the president to therefore assume that whomever has told him that there will be no access to the sea, that gives him pleasure and gives him joy, because obviously it is an attempt to divide and rule both the South and the Southeast, which in the past our people have keyed into, and I warned against this. Even this year, I have warned against it during the celebration of my hero, Adaka Boro. Now, the sad thing for us as a people is that we are still looking at everything that comes from this government and the person of the President Buhari as a political issue. And therefore, our people try to handle everything bearing in mind political correctness. I want to advise us that we should, from here on, if we don't already, begin to handle things that concerns us with the survival correctness. We have to be sure that our survival is assured by us, and we have to know that our survival is at risk. Now, before I run out of time, if I haven't already, IPOP, he is, and it's not a mistake he is making. He is playing it in a way that whichever way it falls, he is the winner, or he achieves, or they achieve, whoever the cabal is, achieve what they want. In the mindset of this threat that in my opinion, that came from the utterances and the statement of the president, in the mindset, IPOP and Igbo people are the same thing. We need to clarify to the world that IPOP and Igbo people are not the same thing. We need to clarify to the world that because some of us are saying that we do not necessarily are not talking about Biafra as a movement for us, it cannot ever mean, as a South person, as a daughter of the Ijaw ethnic nationality, and as a people that have heritage, blood heritage with the Igbo people and other ethnic nationalities, we have to make it very clear to whoever is listening and whoever is playing these games that they cannot hit the heads of the ethnic nationalities of the Niger Delta, and we are many, the ethnic nationalities of the Niger Delta, against the ethnic nationality of Ndibo. We may not agree on things per se, but one thing we do know is that we do have a common enemy, a common problem, a common crisis, and we do almost have a common desire, which is that we must survive. Now, if that survival eventually leads some people to demand for a breakaway, some people to demand for self-determination, a new constitution, whatever coloration it is going to take, what is very clear and should be very clear from here on to us, which will bring us together, is that our very survival is now openly, clearly, without any shadow of doubt, at risk. And that statement made by the president was a clear threat to the survival of the people that are now today the Southeast and the South-South, just as they didn't make any differentiation during the pogrom and the genocide that ended up in the war. In the future, they have no desire to make any distinction between Ndibo or any other ethnic nationality in the Niger Delta. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Dare. Thank you for that succinct presentation. And I do not know if Don Pedro Obaseki is ready. Obaseki, if you're ready, please. I would want you to, also in your own words, make a summary of your understanding of that clip that I played at the beginning of this session.
I wasn't angry, seriously. I was not upset when I heard him speak, because I've been praying that the man will say something that is cataclysmic, so that our very docile people can wake up. Like Annkio Briggs said, it is not a political issue. This is an existential. The president himself has posed himself as an existential threat, not just to the Nigerian nation, which is already dead. We have to be frank with ourselves and tell ourselves the truth, but to the ethnic nationalities that populate the space. There are 65 ethnic nationalities as defined by some of our leaders in the entire South-South. And the man comes on public television and says he speaks to 2 elders. 2, he was specific. And then some youth. It is laughable. You see, what I see in Mr. Buhari or General Buhari is like a rehash of the Hammurabi Code of Law, an eye for an eye. Unfortunately, he's determining the eye that was injured, and he's also determining how to pay back with other eyes. And that shows the president has a Pompeian syndrome. And that selective pomposity is the very Nnadi of this nation. He described in that clip that IPOP are just dots in the sand. I don't want to repeat what Annkio said. He said dots, he said they are just like dots in the sand. So with those statements, it is clear that the gloves are off. I want to remind all of us sitting here, don't be offended. In January 2015, I did a documentary that led to the closure of AI. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. You're back on. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I said that with that very statement, the president showed that the gloves are off. Simply, the gloves are off. In a documentary I did in 2015, January 2015 to be precise, which led to the closure of AIT and all the problems. It was titled The Real Buhari. My last line in that documentary is that the rain may beat the leopard, but it will not wash off his spots. And the spots of Mr. President, of Mr. Buhari, of General Buhari, has become so clear. And the shelter he provides is simply for his ethnic nationality. Let me borrow from my friend Nnadi. The Fulani caliphate the Fulani hegemony, the Fulani sequestered oligarchy is what is the problem. And coming to start calling our elders, whoever they are, amorphous as they may be, a president who cannot be seen by his wife is telling us that he's talking to elders in the South. It is all he said there were lies from the pit of hell. But unfortunately, he has created a lie. He believes the lie. He is living the lie. And on all interviews he has done, he has made it clear that his agenda is simple: a decimation of those he feels are lesser human beings in this country. He has made it clear from his body language, his spoken language, and all else that Nigeria is a country with different nations. The nation is a state of mind, and in the state of mind of Mr. President, his brothers, whom he said in that interview, from the Western Sudan and Central Sudan and other parts of Fulanized Sahel, West Africa, are first and foremost the people in his mind. So if anybody within our space, our own in the Midwest, we are clear. We are not making any noises. It's not necessary. It is clear. From now, the gloves are off. And we have a president who is unwilling in any way particular to even make amends, to pretend to even make amends. It is not pretending. He's there. You can see it in the sternness of his face. The Buhari we knew as a young man in the university who joined to kill my friends then is still the Buhari we have. And that Buhari cannot be allowed to ride roughshod over the people who feed this nation. That is the truth. I am trying not to be very upset in the public space, but it is clear. Now, IPOP is the dot in the sand. Maybe my Urobo people, Edo people, Esam people, Esako people, or Isoko people will now be the next dots on the sand. And his lies are all over the place, like speckled dots on a leopard's back. So, Mr. President, we should make it clear. My submission is simple. Make it clear to him that his fallacies, their bundle of propaganda and misinformation, cannot stop an idea whose time has come. And Nigeria, as badly skewed as it is being unraveled by God. Because if you believe in the Bible, he said, and God hardened the heart of Pharaoh. Pharaoh's heart, Buhari's heart is being hardened by his own selective amnesia. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very well timed and very well timed. Thank you once more. Now, obviously, you basically reinforced what sister here, Annkio Briggs, said. One thing that is still not very clear to all of us sitting down here is, if we make a guess, who could be the people speaking to the president, making, or rather promising him the things he said that they promised in him, extracting these things that obviously he had extracted from them. Having said that, I would use the opportunity now to bring the Lieutenant Colonel Tony Nyiam. Tony, Elder, if you're there, can you quickly unmute yourself? And if you're able to, yes, okay. Oh yeah, I can see you now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Let me begin by saying what I heard from President Muhammad Buhari is an ethnic cleansing. And in the list, a threat unbecoming of a president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces of all Nigerians. It is an open revelation of an unchanging devilish mindset that was responsible for the 1966 genocidal killings of Ndigos in particular, and the Eastern Nigerians in general. President Muhammad Buhari's statement utterance is a clear evidence which can be used in a court such as the International Criminal Court, ICC. I say this because as a Form 1 student in the Nigerian military school, Zaria, I witnessed the killings of Ndigos in particular and the Eastern Nigerians in Sabongeri, Zaria. Being a military school student, in other words, at that time I was seen as part of maybe as a northern person. We witnessed the killings of Ndigos. I remembered my parish priest, an Irish Catholic priest, in the military chapel, in the barracks. That is the only place in Nigeria where in the north that Easterners or Ndigos were not killed was in Zaria military depot and military school, and in Sokoto, where the Sultan insisted that Sokoto is the heart of a Muslim country, that there will be no killings. These were the only two places there were no killings. The reason why there was no killing in depot, Zaria, was that our principal, who had fathered many officers, had to call on the officers from the Northwest, that they should ensure that the killings does not come down to depot Nigeria, Zaria. So I'm speaking from personal experience. Trauma, I believe that he has failed in his mission, that he was sad that he saw some of the people who come to his church participating in the killing of Igbo in Sabongeri's area. That's one. Secondly, as a young boy, I was in the train that, because we who were living in Lagos, Ibadan, and parts of the country normally travel by train from Ido, travel to school in Zaria. We drop students in St. Louis, Ilorin, and then Kaduna and Zaria. I witnessed in the train when the train was stopped on the bridge and the soldiers were going about searching for Nyamri. Nyamri, if you know, is a very insensitive, derogatory word. This is a word used because Igbo children who were captured or handled, who were crying for water and were shouting to their mother, that is how the word Nyamri came from. That is someone saying Nyamri, that is somebody who is looking for water. So in the light of my experiences of the killings, where they came into our coach, selected, if they saw you were an Igbo, selected you, shot and dropped you into the water. This is something I witnessed personally. Against this background and against the utterances of the president, I feel very, very sad. The other point is the president is clearly lying in the name of South-South leader. It is the usual divide and rule tactics. Let him name the two South leaders or people who told him what he said. Let him name them. He cannot be a president names dropping. He should name those South leaders, because I know the leaders who are South. And of course, I'm a South elder. And I think Annkio too is a South elder. I can say it categorically that no South elder would have said what he is claiming to have said. Amongst other things, I say this again, and I'm happy that the president has corroborated my statement earlier in Arise, that the president is partially from Niger Republic. He has himself corroborated it, because this is what he told us in the officers' mess in Jos himself. And I go further to say that the president's father, not his cousin, is originally from Niger Republic. Dr. Junaid Mohammed told me that amongst them, the Fulanis, they dread the clan President Muhammad Buhari comes from, is the most clannish of the Fulani clans. I rest my case.
Thank you very much. You know, it's being Onyibo and unapologetical soul, it gladdens my heart to hear from eminent personalities from the Niger Delta region standing the world here watching and saying that the words and the extractions that the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria said he had from the people of the Niger Delta is not true, and it's not from the Niger Delta leaders, neither do they have that from the Niger Delta youths. Again, if I have the opportunity now, I would have Rear Admiral Yanga. Again, let me stay within still Niger Delta before I can move. I don't know, Rear Admiral, if you're here, please. I can see he comes in and, you know, it appears he's got a very, very unstable internet. Now, I don't know if Asari Dokubo has been able to join us. Back office, are we able to spotlight Asari Dokubo here? Or if Asari Dokubo is joining with a different device, please, can you kindly let us know the device you're joining? Because there are two parts to what the president said. He has an extraction from the youth and from the elders. So in between, if the youth, or rather if the elderly are saying, we don't say anything on, maybe let's get other section to also tell us if there are some of the things that they said that we're not aware. And for some reason, it appears, Tony Nnadi, sorry, okay, because Rear Admiral is not there. And also, we have issue with Rear Admiral, who keeps coming in, spotlight him, he goes off again. Sadly, his internet is playing up. I hope he's not, I hope he's using VPN. Now, the safest thing to do is to use VPN for your own safety. And we are all using VPN here. I think my good brother, Dr. Pedro Obaseki, is also using VPN because his own internet was so clear. So, since the two individuals are not yet ready, Tony Nnadi, are you able to unmute and turn on your camera? I know you are in another meeting, you know, multitasking. Today is June 12th. Your attention is needed in very many places, but also if you can excuse for a moment and make your interventions, that would be much appreciated. Tony, are you there? Tony, are you there? I tell you, so Tony, okay, I'll bring back Tony. And there are two things here to note. A Lieutenant Colonel Tony Nyiam here said something that is he drew a parallel between 1966 within the time of program and the statement. Now, being someone who was in the army and also someone who within the war was already in the military school, and from your narrative here, you're telling us that what you can deduce from this is that you're drawing this parallel. However, there are other school of thought who think that that statement is a revelation of quote unquote war strategy. Lieutenant Colonel, if I pick up from you where you stopped again, do you, now you can unmute, do you agree with that school of thought who have listened to this clip and have concluded that that is a revolution of a war strategy? Again, sorry, again, I don't know, you can help us now. Someone told me last night that this is a military jargon. Dot in the circle. Now, it's when you guys are encircling your enemies in the military jargon, and that's when you use the dots in the circle. Is that correct? And your intervention?
I think it's a very Machiavellian military language. It is a dot in the circle. It's a very sad word to use for a people, a nation, which the president is supposed to be president over. So I don't think it is any military strategy. It is clearly, like I've said, it is clearly the language of an unchanging mindset. An unchanging mindset. One of the things President Muhammad Buhari has done for us is that he has, like Don Pedro said earlier, he had allowed us to understand the threat we face, that we've ever faced in Nigeria. That was why, if you remember, the April 1990 pro-democratic action, one of the reasons that drove us to this was what we are now experiencing. I must say, what we're experiencing under President Muhammad Buhari is worse than I had expected, worse than what led us to the action we took against the military government that was going to perpetuate this kind of rule on Nigeria. So there's no need to anybody saying it's a military language, or it is completely on officer and gentleman. For an officer and gentleman to be a commander-in-chief of a nation which includes Igbos to make such utterances. An officer, the combination officer and gentleman means a lot. It means one of honor and one of courage. Is there any honor in a president threatening a people just because some members of the people ask for self-determination, which is in fact their inalienable human rights? So, like I've said, he has given us evidence. He has given us clue that a case can be made in the International Criminal Court. First of all, his analogy of the dot in the circle shows how myopic is his mindset. Even the IPOP he's talking about, they are much more powerful and much more active in the diaspora. And he would have known that Israel is a country surrounded by the most aggressive enemies, and yet Israel survived. So any threat to think that the Igbo nation will not survive because it's a nation of the in interland. It's a sad reflection of his mindset. And by the way, I will say this. Presently, the people of Akwa Ibom are enthusiastic, and the people of my region, they're enthusiastic to have an understanding with Ndi Igbos, that is the Ungwa area, Aba, down to Onitsha, so that we can have one economic corridor. The Eastern Nigeria remains one powerful corridor, which no divide and rule tactics would divide us.
Thank you very much. Again, we do appreciate that hand of fellowship. And it is, again, one thing that it's, you know, it's known the reason why the viable and the lucrative Eastern Corridor appears to be something that is no longer so as it was. But as you've rightly made, and I believe there are sections paying much attention to the things you've just said, that corridor will be reactivated. Thank you once more for your interventions. Now, I don't know if having, you know, by virtue of all the things you've heard, I do not know if Annkio Briggs, if you, before we take questions from the audience, if there is any other thing that you might want to add from the things you've heard from the Colonel and Dr. Pedro Obaseki. Yeah.
Well, add definitely. Colonel Tony and Obaseki are very much aware of what it means, what Buhari meant, and what he continued to mean when he speaks. You see, we were saying, oh, people, let me say people, because I'm not amongst the people that will say Buhari must talk to us, Buhari must talk to us. You know, when he doesn't talk to us, he doesn't want to talk to us. He doesn't want to talk to Nigerians because he has nothing to say to Nigerians, where he sees Nigerians as being beneath him. Now, when he speaks to Nigerians, in his mind, he's speaking to Yoruba people, he's speaking to all other ethnic nationalities, except his own ethnic nationality, that obviously in his mind and by his behavior and utterances and the appointments he gives are better than every other ethnic nationality. I totally agree with the analysis that they have presented so far. Unfortunately, Asari cannot come in, but I doubt if, let me not read his mind, but the reality we face now is very clear, as I said at my own earlier presentation, that maybe that's Asari, at my earlier presentation, that this is an attempt, as it was, and there is a statement I issued yesterday, and I think, Maazi, I sent it to you, that where I said that the knife that was used in 1966, 67 will no longer cut. It's not sharp enough anymore. And that's why I also always disagree that Adaka Boro fought to keep Nigeria together. Adaka Boro declared a war. He could not again fight to keep a country that he was against, and the reasons are very clear. The reasons remain today. So no matter the differences that Ndi Igbo, either collectively or non-collectively, no matter the differences they have, and we have, and when I say we, I mean all the other ethnic nationalities of the Niger Delta, the fact that our very existence is now very clearly by these statements at risk we should now find a way to work together. We cannot agree 100% on everything. But one thing I am certain we do agree on is that we must survive. And that survival must include our working together, either economically, to look after the back, to look out for the back of the other, and so on and so forth. But that there is no way in my mind that I doubt if when push comes to shove, after the experience of the Civil War, that there is any way that the Niger Delta is going to rise against Igbo people, or that Igbo people as a collective people will rise against the Niger Delta. I do not believe so. And we have to begin to demonstrate this to the people who want us to kill ourselves.
Thank you very much. I think you know, it's gladdening that these unity and that these brotherliness, sisterliness, this affirmity is being reaffirmed this evening, that all can go to bed with eyes closed because we are all together in this, and no one of us can and shall and will plot evil against the other. The mistakes of the past should stay where they are. On that note, I think, Tony, if you're there.
Yes.
Okay. I think if you may reduce the sound of the other meeting that you are in, so that we can quickly see you and take your intervention. Obviously, I called you up before, but you appear to have been so busy. Yeah.
Right.
Now.
Right. Where are we, please? Where are we, please? Both of them are emergencies.
Well, you know, I want to basically, I want you to first react to that video clip that we played at the instant, you know, at the beginning. And, you know, Colonel Tony was able to, or rather drew a parallel to the president's statement to the incident of 1966. Also, that was reinforced by what our sister here, Annkio Briggs, said regarding the affinity that is between the people of the Southeast and the South-South. But one thing that is very clear here is, from everyone from the South-South here, one thing that is very clear is that there is a denial and there is no confirmation that anything was extracted or any promise was given to the president. Even our good brother Don Pedro Obaseki said it is indeed a lie. So you may respond to all these commentaries.
Thank you, and my apologies to everybody. It's just another emergency I had to deal with on the same project, involving people who are already on the streets in some other part of the country, trying to be sure of what they could do and what they could not do that will that may harm what we are all doing in the alliance. And so back to this, what we see going on is this question of dot on the circle is a clear reference to the East Central state that emerged on the 27th of May in 1967, which then encircled the Igbo heartland, cutting off River State and the southeastern state of the time that has become Cross River and Akwa Ibom. Of course, that rivers has now also Bayelsa carved out of it. And eastern region did not go beyond the River Niger because Midwestern region went all the way to the bridge at Asaba. And so for a Lieutenant Muhammad Buhari that was directly involved in the pogroms that led to the war, he was, as a lieutenant, one of those. I said this at the Solemn Assembly in Port Harcourt. As a lieutenant, he was one of those leading people house to house when the killings began in July of 1966. And it was from that role that he also joined the war, fighting behind General Shua. You remember the general that was shot dead by Boko Haram elements in his home, General Shua. So He was very much a part of the pogroms. He was very much a part of the massacres and genocides of the war. And because nobody had called him to order, they are trying to replicate what they did in 1966 by turning the coup that middle rank officers did against the politicians that were messing up the whole place against the Igbo. It was the coup had happened. We of course saw the list of people who worked with Nzogu. It was the BBC that began to announce, explain that these ones have been killed, these ones have been spared, and it's all about Igbo, just to turn it into something it was not. And it was on that false narrative that that war was waged. For Buhari to wake up in 2021 to be making that type of direct reference to what was done in that time, and you saw Akim Baba Ahmed's address and all of what Arewa have been saying, and their women they sent on the street to say, okay, all of you go and do referendum and leave. By what, on what map? Because when you see the map of that southeast of today, you will actually see the circle, the dot in the circle that he means. And what should be our response to this? You know, God never comes late. It was this alliance that we had in place that was, the God's provision for how we will escape the kind of thing the people will have loved to do. Of course, I'm sure some of us have seen the broadcast we had to make in response to what they are doing in the place now, killing people, and now even coming to boast that our cousins in the Niger Delta are going to, stand with them the way they stood before. I can confirm from what I know, that there's no such promise extracted from anybody. Everybody that is involved in the matter. Of course, they will find some charlatan they can give money to go and make that happens all the time. But the ones who are with us in this meeting, are enough to tell everybody that from all the sides in that 360-degree surrounding, from Ogoja through the Ijo areas, all the way to the Edo, where again is the Niger Delta. They are completely involved in what we are doing. I'm happy my brother Don Pedro Obaseki is present here, Annkio, Nyiam. I mean, who else are you going to ask other than these rented crowds they get from time to time? We in this existential threat, I can report to us, we are far ahead of them. They are hanging on to that very narrow corridor of being able to bring guns into the matter. Otherwise, the constitution that brings them to our space is already defeated. They are struggling, doing everything to try to give life back to it. They thought they could go to National Assembly to infuse life back to it, but we told them at the later hour that National Assembly doesn't have that their mandate doesn't include constitution making. That has collapsed. Did we notice that this morning, the main message Buhari sent this morning is pleading with the Nigerians to allow amendment, because Yadudu, in that memo he sent to National Assembly, Yadudu was explaining to them that that is a slippery slope they are being invited into. But there's nothing they can do. They can't keep the situation as it is. The constitution that brings us together has been defeated by the actions we took. And they only have to come down from their high horse so that we can have something that can become a negotiated settlement. If they refuse to come down from that high horse, we are closer to completing the action we started that will take down that constitution and bring them down forcefully from that high horse. Because if the constitution collapses, the majority, those who they would have been calling to a meeting of how we continue, are more interested. I'm sure you saw the Yoruba on the streets everywhere, from Washington down to New York, down to Ibadan, down to Akure. Today, those people are no longer willing to remain in the union of master and servant, in the union of debt, in the union of attrition that Nigeria has become. And so that constitution that brings everybody that came to kill them in their space all this while is what has been defeated. It's only our own people that are not doing the much they should have been doing. In the Middle Belt, I can report to us that what Otom is doing is founded. Otom has gone ahead of all of us to ask his people to bring whatever they find to defend themselves, because the constitution that stood their way from carrying arms is out of the way. That was what we were explaining to everybody who was listening in Ibadan on the 17th of April, We said to them, that constitution that has 68 items is dead. And if you have a means of going to take your asset that Nigeria was taken from you, go and take it. If you are in danger and you need gun to defend yourself from people who are armed, don't think of what Constitution said. The governors are still standing somewhere in between, but in the coming days, we took 120 days. This kind of a meeting is where we can report certain things. We took 120 days from 17th of April to complete the consultations with the people, having given the federal government 90 days, and instead of coming to that discussion, they rushed to National Assembly to beat us through the back door. That has failed. The governors, instead of coming for leading us in taking back our sovereignty, they went to Asaba to make a half declaration. By what weapons are you going to enforce that ban on open grazing if you don't come to take back your right to own your sovereignty? Now the governors are sitting in the middle, but the owners of the sovereignty, the people, and the diplomatic, the international community that will have to come to separate whatever it becomes in form of a fight. Of course, in 3 tranches of action: sensitization, which has been far done; mobilization, which is happening in Yoruba space now; and enforcement. In the second half of this 120 days, that will begin from 17th of June, matters will go to enforcement. They are going to find out that the constitution that brought us together is dead, and their guns will be useless in the matter, because the world powers that have been consulted fully have told them that guns will not feature in this discussion. They know what that means. It's only that opening that our people gave them, the ones who went to make video of killing policemen and soldiers in the name of ESN and unknown gunmen. That's why they are maximizing it. And part of what they are doing is to terrify the other parts of the country in what they are doing in the East. They are not coming after ESN. They are coming after the whole of the Igbo land, because some of our people in the diaspora also began to take advertorials in the newspaper and began to clap for killing of policemen and soldiers. And if you go back to Python Dance, you will remember in the half-year episode where they said they were going to behead Buhari, and people began to clap. Those were the things that had given them the kind of leeway they have. But I can assure you, it will not go far. Okay. We are ahead of them. That constitution is gone. We only need to do what we need to do to take down that constitution and go to referendums. Everybody will decide what they do with their referendum. Thank you very much, Tony.
Before I let you, I know you're busy. Before I let you go, obviously, I want to bring you back. I appreciate everything you do. You do a lot that many people don't necessarily understand or appreciate that, But again, for those of us who understand what you do a lot, and that must be appreciated and supported as well. Now, for the conversation this evening, I want us to narrow it down to the comments made by the president regarding the death in the circle. Now, having listened to Annkio, Pedro, Colonel Tony, what's your parting word? What are you going to? Because at the end of the day, it's about that alliance, and you made reference to alliance. It's a question of how best do we, having heard this, we are not deaf. What is the best way to now react to make sure that these alliances that's been built over the years doesn't collapse on mutual suspicion? That people don't walk out saying, oh, okay, we thought we are with you, but it appears you're going behind us, extracting some agreements, that we suddenly don't start suspecting one another. So the question point blank to you is, having said that, what is your own take to this statement made day before yesterday? If you may do that in less than 2 minutes, I would much appreciate it.
Yes, I will think that a bit of speaking up, a bit of saying it loudly, especially as a group. I saw what our sister Annkio put out in the Niger Delta, the group, if as a group, a whole number of people you can imagine a statement, even by the people present in this meeting. Imagine some kind of a joint statement made by persons from across these territories we can already see in this meeting. It will go a long way. And the next thing is, I can inform us now that the Charter of Relationships, because that is what will end all this commotion from that flank, from that eastern half of southern Nigeria. The Charter of Relationships that will define what we'll be doing together up to the point everything is settled, from the time Nigeria has entered now, that the union is now holding. The Yoruba as one bloc is heading in their own direction. The other people are heading in their various directions. But in our own space, that Charter of Relationships, I've discussed this with some of our people present in this meeting, that defines what the Edo will be doing with the Ijo, with the Shekiri, with the Igbo. The first draft of it has been put out there. People are being invited into it, and there will be a bigger announcement of that first draft, because there are people who have to look at it before it is now put in the hands of other people from the committee that has people from all over all those nationalities. It is that Charter of Relationship that will be the first point. Nigeria will wake up to see that these people that we try to divide in this manner are not actually divided. It's so unfortunate what our Biafra campaign people have brought to the whole discussion. But I'm sure everybody can see now that you cannot be talking about self-determination and independence over the heads of each of the nationalities, as small as they may look to you. Isoko, Ogoni have equal right to self-determination as the big Ijo, as the bigger Igbo, in all of it. But if we zero down to that Charter of Relationships, we will see exactly where it becomes self-determination for everybody, while we're holding together as a federation of a number of language groups in absolute in unfettered freedom to decide how we live in our space. That's what we're going to get. And let me also inform us that a whole number of sentimental decisions, we can go it alone, can stand alone. No, the waters, that Atlantic water you see there, the 200 or so nautical miles assigned to Nigeria as its exclusive economic zone. The condition for assigning it is that you are able to police it. If because we want to hold on to everybody stand in his own place and be independent country, you won't get you can only get as far as the canoe, the fisherman's canoe can go in that water. And so we overall, if equity is ensured, and there's no reason why we can't ensure equity. Some of our people forget, and this is for the Igbo audience now, some of our people start the story halfway of 1966 and 67 and how the Niger Delta didn't come along with them. At times, I get very angry in our meetings, in the Igbo meetings, to remind them that long before 1960, there was a fight for the creation of the core. There was the core states movement. They wanted to be separated from the Igbo in that eastern region of the time, which was why at the Willings Commission, that matter went before the Willings Commission. 1960 hasn't come. 1966 hasn't come. So what were those reasons for which that movement for core states, that's Cross River and Ogoja and Rivers, what was the reason for wanting those states created 3 years, 4 years ahead of independence? Did those reasons disappear? No. When Isaac Boro launched Niger Delta Republic, it was because that what I would call decolonization process had not been completed. For the Western region, of course, the Midwest was able to complete their own in 1963. For the Northern region, the Middle Belt, the minorities of the North were not able to get anywhere with their own. And so in the Eastern part, it became some kind of opportunistic engagement with the situation to have done what was done on the 27th of May in 1967. And so if anybody wants to have a balanced view of what went wrong, you must go all the way to the reasons for which people wanted to be separated before the trouble came. And
okay.
Of course, we remember Ezeoke and all of what. So we have to tell those who do not know that these things are not as have been presented to them. The River State College of the one I think is started as Remedial College. That property belongs to Franco Pigo. It was a private secondary school owned by Franco Pigo. It was seized from him and it's not been returned to date, just because he stood with Biafra. So in all of this, you look at whatever you hear a story, go and find out what happened so you can know where the truth is. We have been injured sufficiently. We can defeat this enemy today if we put the truth on the table and work with that truth and leave sentiments aside. We are in an existential threat in the situation. God has given us everything we need to win, and we only need to hold together so that this enemy is off our back for all times.
Thank you very much, Tony. It's a very fine place to anchor your thoughts. And I will leave us with this. And that's a very powerful message you just said now, that we have been injured enough. If I just oppose this statement that we have been injured enough to the statement of being a dot in a circle, people, make your mind whatever you can of that statement. Now, I think before we get to the audience this evening, everyone, once more, I will say thank you for joining us in this conversation. If you are just joining us, or those of you watching online who do not know what the topic is all about, we are addressing the dots in the circle in the President Buhari's interview, and we ask a question: is this a return to 1966? Now, I will bring back Dr. Don Pedro Obaseki, but before I do, Tony, I do not know if Asari is with a different device here, because I haven't been able to, spotlight him, and the back office has not been able to do same. So I don't know if Asari has joined us at all. And for some weird reason, Rear Admiral Yanga is not in again, but he popped in, and I believe the internet yanked him off a couple of times. So if you may, now that you've had your shot, if you may help us, please reach back to them through the back channel and see if they can come in, because their opinion, both of them being from the Niger Delta, matters in this discussion this evening. Okay. Thank you very much for that help. Now, my good brother, again, please, I hear people say online, make you take and suffer for the grammar. So some of them, the additionally don't hear. I come back I come back to you now. I see you raise your hand. I take you first before I go back to the audience. So I believe, again, you've listened to Tony, Colonel Tony as well, Annkio, and you've listened to various things they've said. Now you have another shot to basically either add to what you had said before we now move down to the audience. Thank you very much once more.
Okay. I want to just quickly reiterate some of the things said so far, so that we don't lose track. What Buhari had done in that circle, in the dot in the circle, is simply a threat to those who are lily-livered. It is a piece of gray propaganda trying to mix lies with truth. It is pure sophistry. I want us to use numbers so that we don't get scared. The Nigerian army, as of 2020, had a total manpower of 160,000. The Nigerian Air Force is 18,000. The Nigerian Navy, total, including cooks, army people, ratings, officers, generals, everything, 25,000. total Nigerian armed forces strength in terms of its military is 203,000. These are in the public domain. And when you look at the events of 1967, that Annkio said that the knife is now blunt. I would say that the environment is quite different. Nobody wins a war anymore. But because the general lives, he hibernated in 1985, and he had not progressed beyond 1985. That is why our president will go to Berlin and declare Angela Merkel, the chancellor of West Germany, which died in 1991. We have to understand all this, that we have allowed the best and the rest of us to be governed by the worst of us. And that is what we are facing. Now, I also want to come to Tony on the Charter of Relationship. He first informed me of this sometime in July, prior to a meeting in London in July 2019. And as a result of that, one of my elders is here. He wrote there, so where is Robo's take in all this, as well as the proposed charter? Because as is concerned, the mention of the Robo nation seems to be non-existent. Our Midwest peoples, our case is clear. We were a nation before Nigeria ever happened, and we are not a nation by accident. The old Benin Empire, which is the present-day Edo and Delta, roughly, is the only part of this country that did not ever sign off a treaty with the British, which led to the invasion of Benin on the 14th of February, Valentine's Day, ironically, today, 1897. And we were the only ones who openly killed Oyibo people. And that is where we are. And in terms of looking at it from a systemic point of view, we had a clear referendum in 1963, July 13 to be precise, where 89.07% of our people created self-determination in their heads. It must be clear that in Nigeria, the Nigeria that went to independence was a lie. Outside of the amalgamation, the first administrative amalgamation of 1914, until Benin fell in 1897, the British never declared a total protectorate over southern Nigeria. And that is the truth. And we are the only ones who underwent a massive punitive expedition where they brought 3 frigates led by Admiral Beecroft to the waters of Benin River. These things are clear. And as a result of that, we are very clear. What the president had done yesterday, his interview yesterday and the one before, is a clarion call to all persons of all ethnic nationalities, including those in the north. People must know that Tony mentioned the core region, that as of 1949, there was clamor for 6 regions in this country before the setting up of the Willings Constitution, of the Willings Commission, as a direct reaction to the Richardson Constitution of 1947. These things must be clear. The core region, Calabar, Ogoja rivers, those were the 3 provinces. The Calabar region is now what you call Akwa Ibom, not the Cross River side. Ogoja was Cross River. And then all the other parts of Bayelsa and River State, minus Upper Sagbama towards Patani, which is still now part of Bayelsa State, was all the things that were in the core region, Calabar, Ogoja rivers. While Joseph Tucker led the United Middle Belt Congress fight for the Middle Belt region. And the people of Edo and Delta today, unanimously. So the Nigerian government, who since 2002 and actively since 2010 had not been able to fight Boko Haram, a set of bandits, half literate, half illiterate, as you see it, is running around like some. That's why I said the president has a Pompeian syndrome. That's why you get the word pompous. It won't work. The Nigerian army lacks. I thought my first life is to teach at the NDA. I taught at the NDA for 3 years. And I'm happy Nyiam is here. He knows that if push comes to shove, Nigeria will just be another Yugoslavia. And we are on that road to Golgotha. We are right now on the road to Mogadishu. And when this happens, there is no reverse. The president must know. I'm happy what the president did. I am not angry at all. Because had he been the president, did not say the things he said the way he said them, all those shenanigans within the British parliamentary space, and a few of those who have not been too careful, caring in the United States, will not listen to us, but they've seen clearly an ISIS sympathizer who has a declared ISWAP ISIS sympathizer in his government, is reiterating the ethnic cleansing agenda of a segment of the country who the whole world knows is in handshake with ISIS. So we are the first Nigerians, we are the first Africans ruled by certified terrorists. That is the truth. That is why we still haven't declared Boko Haram a terrorist organization. I am happy that Mr. President did what he did, and that is the clarion call to all of us. To use the word of Annkio Briggs, we should be thinking about how do our people survive this clear onslaught, this barely veiled declaration of war on the people lower the Niger, or even before then, for the people underneath the entire caliphate or the Hausa Bokoi. That is what we face. Anything less than that is playing ostrich. That is clear. But I must say this, dots in the circle always win. The history of the world has proven that. He can go to West Timor, he can ask those in Israel, he can ask, it is clear, the minorities will win because the world is so skewed to us. And these minorities are those who are so upwardly mobile that we have changed the Nigerian engagement with the outer world. So the 1967 narrative cannot fly. And that is the truth. God bless all of us, and God bless whatever may be left of Nigeria.
Thank you very much. A very good, a very fine place to leave it. Always a pleasure to listen to you. You know, I fondly call you, I do call you the mobile library, because the way you extract and just oppose this information are really astonishing. Thank you once more. I salute. So now let's move to the audience and begin to take, we'll take a couple of questions or contributions. Please, those of you that are part of the audience, and you know, you would be given, if it's question, 30 seconds. If you're making contribution, 1 minute, please. Just put your train of thoughts together, so that when you are unmuted, you do not begin then to stutter or maybe not being able to say something quickly. I will start. The first person I'm going to start with this evening will be Luke Aneke. After that, it will be Emoro and Johnny Anosike. So please, Luke, can you quickly unmute yourself and make your contribution or your question, please? Luke?
Yes. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, Luke.
Yeah, okay. I am Dr. Luke Aneke. I'm a physician in New York City and the author of the untold story of Nigeria Biafra War. I just want to comment on on President Buhari's statement that South elders and youths told him that IPOB or Biafra will not have access to the sea. The president should have used the opportunity to present himself as a law-abiding president by addressing how things happen. The president took the part of a street gangster in accepting what those people told him. He should have told them that access to the sea is governed by international laws. People can have access to the sea because they are directly on the sea. People can have access to the sea through rivers or lakes. The busiest port in Germany, in Hamburg, is on River Elbe. It doesn't sit on an ocean. And that port is the 15th busiest port in the world. So Igbo land is blessed by two big rivers, Cross River to their east and River Niger to their west, both of which empty into the Atlantic Ocean. And these international laws that can govern access to the sea, not just by the Igbos. If people in Ida that sit on the Niger or Lokoja that has contact with the Niger want access to the sea through the Niger, there are international laws that govern these things. And the president should have schooled those elders that it's not up to them, like a motopark boy or a street gangster, to decide whether somebody more north to me will have access to the sea or not. That there are international laws that govern access to the sea. That's what the president should have said. The president should have not released on their gangster mentality, quote unquote, if they told him that, because I'm not even sure. So he should have schooled them on the way things are supposed to be and not praise or promote their street gangster mentality. So,
okay, thank you very much.
Didn't do himself any good.
Thank you very much for that intervention. And the next person, obviously, will be Emoro. Please, Emoro, can you quickly unmute yourself?
Yes, thank you so much. My name is Emoro Efetie. I am from Delta State in the Niger Delta, and I'm a Nigerian in diaspora. Well, from what I have listened to today, there's this divide and conquer type of tactic that seems to be they're trying to use, or the president is trying to use. Let me also say this. I mean, there's no need deceiving ourselves. I personally do not regard President Buhari as a Nigerian. I don't regard him to be my president. We have to be honest. He doesn't care about other people who are not Fulani or Muslim. We have to be honest and not beat about the bush. He is not my president. So, I mean, if he's talking like that, trying to divide people to conquer, well, he will fail. What I would like to ask is, how are we going to get people like, because in the Southwest, we've not talked so much about the Southwest, there's opposition to his agenda. In the Middle Belt, how are we all going to stand together to make sure we defeat this evil that is being forced upon us as a people? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that question. And obviously, we hope, we just noted the question down. That is the first question. Hopefully, we would answer the question in the course of this evening's conversation. And Johnny Anosike, if you may quickly unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, my brother, Johnny Nosike. You gave me an A.
Sorry, that unconscious Igbo-ness in me just.
It's an unconscious Igbo-ness that manifests everywhere.
But again, I'm not. That doesn't mean I'm trying to colonize you. Please.
I love you too much. God bless you, my brother. Yes, of course, the president's rhetoric is obviously propaganda. I know nobody spoke to him. If somebody spoke to him, probably somebody he gave maybe $200 first before those statements were made about some people from the Niger Delta telling him, from the South telling him XYZ. We have, there's a strong desire for people to solve the Nigeria problem through regaining our sovereignty. And it hasn't been said louder than the constitutional force majeure that was activated by NINAS. So everyone understands that the Constitution is a problem. Then every once in a while, you see this class of these members of the political class, governors included, several organizations that are well known, going to make statements, holding meetings, releasing statements, presenting the Igbo and other ethnic nationalities within the Southeast and South-South as like slaves who cannot imagine life without the master, just going back to confess their loyalty. We will never allow Nigeria to break, we'll never, and things of that nature. And it makes you wonder, it makes you ask, what can we do at this point? Everybody knows the Constitution is the problem. What can we do to double down on that message across the board to make sure that our people understand that if we can take care of the constitutional thing, that our problem, this problem is pretty much 90% solved? What is missing that keeps drawing us away from this solution that's already in place? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Johnny Nosike there. I've taken away the A, okay? So thank you very much for your interjection. And I think I would, I have the privilege now to have Dr. Philip Idewo. I'll leave it at that. If Dr. Philip wants to let us know who he is, then I'll leave him to, if he wants to speak in his capacity, or he just like every one of us here. Doctor, welcome once more. And your question or your intervention.
Yeah, thank you very much for what you're doing. I'm very pleased to join the conversations today, and I want to thank my fellow Niger Delta people, as well as those of us from the Southeast, for the conversations that we're having. I think that I'm quite keen to ensure and to see that the elites, people like us who are gathered here, who in time past seems to have taken the back seat, who have not been on the front burner discussing how to resolve the challenges that faces the ethnic nationalities that make up the space called Nigeria. I'm excited seeing us talking about these the way we are doing now. My sister Annkio and all the work she's been doing. I mean, looking and listening to Dr. Pedro Obaseki, the advocacy that he's been mounting with regard to the Midwest. And I want to say that what we need is what the kind of thing that you are doing at Njenje TV. We need to have serious conversations. We need to make it clear to everybody that Nigeria, as of today, is a country, it's not yet a nation. What I believe will have been the hope of our founding fathers will be that over time, we will metamorphose from being a country into a nation state. I, coming from the Edo nation, do not, as of today, still feel yet that my people have been integrated enough into a geographic space that is a nation that will feel that they are respected. That word I have chosen, I use it very deliberately. As an ethnic nationality group, I want to see my people respected. I want to see my people valued. I want to see my people seen as joint contributors to the wealth and the prosperity of Nigeria. I believe that as of today, what Nigeria needs is not constitutional amendment. I am a strong advocate for a complete and total political overhaul of the structure called Nigeria. I'm a strong advocate for restructuring because I believe that we need to bring ourselves together respectfully all ethnic nationalities, we need to sit down together and agree how we want to relate with one another. That is why it's exciting to me to listen to Pedro speaking, listen to Colonel Nyiam speaking. I know that they've been on this journey for quite a long time. To listen to Nnadi speaking, and the conversation is all the same, and to listen to the questions and look at the caliber and quality of individuals participating in this program. I believe that if we kept going this way, if we refuse to be subjugated and our voice is silenced and made to accept that there can be some cosmetic dressing of our present political document, if we continue to insist that, look, this document does not and cannot build a nation out of Nigeria.
Thank you.
I believe that we'll get the journey through. I believe that it is only us who can do it. And I believe that Nigeria should be a place that grows into a pride. It should be something that all Black people should be proud of.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor.
As a well-governed state. Thank
you.
you. I will stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. You know, listening to you, you've if my sense of counting is intact, I believe also that the word I believe has somehow infected me, that I now believe. And I believe you used that word, I think, at least about 7 times. Now, the question to you, Doctor, you know, you joined us and you listened to that presidential speech.
Yeah.
You may, 30 seconds, what's your take? Exactly that section that we are discussing today. What's your take on it?
I think that, in my opinion, as a Nigerian, I think that is disrespectful. Okay, and that is the point I'm making.
Thank you very much. That's very short and simple. Thank you. And Marcel, sorry, not Marcel, Obiosuji, quickly, if you may, can you unmute yourself and either your intervention or your question, Obiosuji?
Okay, I think it's going to be 2 ways. But first, I just want to use this opportunity to actually appreciate Colonel Nyiam. I don't know, I mean, this has been going on since about 2015 that Buhari was elected into power. I think Colonel Nyiam is one of those who earlier has started to point Nigerians to the direction that Nigeria is in trouble. I have watched him several times give interviews along this line, and I want to appreciate him for staying true to his beliefs. I mean, one cannot also stop but also appreciate Mr. Nnadi, Annkio Briggs, and Pedro Obaseki. Very eloquent people who have tried to carry the issues of the minorities on their shoulders. And my prayer is that they keep at it. Just before I go in, please don't be offended that I'm taking a bit of time. I also want to say here, because I might forget, I'd like to have Mr. Nnadi's contact details. He's a man I have been asking myself. I would like to reach out to him and see how I can even contribute my little through him. Years back, organization, people like Odubego Ojukwu and some other people started this kind of indigenous people's meeting in order to redress some of the challenges Nigerians have been going through. And it has been ongoing and good. I have a question for all members of our panelists. I'd like to have their own take. Is it wrong to say that President Buhari has been the one that has so far highlighted the dichotomy, as it were, between probably northern Nigeria and southern Nigeria? If Buhari should leave tomorrow, is it possible that we can all come back together and stay the way we have always been as Nigerians? Is it all about President Muhammadu Buhari, or is it something much deeper than we are highlighting? Because in the recent years, that is how it is looking like. It is looking as if Buhari is the problem. I'm not taking his role away, but it's appearing as if people feel that Buhari is all about the problem. If Buhari goes tomorrow, what then?
Thank you very much, Obiosuji. I think, again, for many of you in this room, you know, watching us, please, if you want to ask a question, you kindly use the raise hand button in your device. If I think you go to either more or settings there, you see it. If you click on the more, you will see where you can raise your hand. Please use that to do so. Now, again, try as much as possible to use your real name as your device name. I'm not going to call out someone here who is iPhone or Galaxy. That's not a name. Do us that favor. Thank you. So I would get Marcel Ngobe here, please. Marcel, can you quickly unmute and ask your question? Or your intervention?
Thank you so much, Maazi. I'll just have to go straight to the point. Tony had made it clear that the gloves are off, okay? And whether we like it or not, the zone and all the ethnic minorities in that zone are existential threats. So what should we be doing? I mean, that is what I should be thinking of from a strategy perspective. Maazi, if you remember, we analyzed the presidential stuff in one of your show. One of the things I told you is that Buhari is strategizing war. I mean, is a very simple from the statement, is body language and both spoken and unspoken word. The Eastern region needs to apply what we call game theory. You have two people, one car here, and they're telling each other we're going to bomb each other, right? And one says I'm not going to stop. The other one says I'm not going to stop. Then one of them just goes into his car and unscrew the steering and throw it off. Okay, what message has it sent to the other guy? You know, the message is very clear. So the Eastern region needs to come together and send a very clear message. And part of the message should be like a statement from this session. You know, I see a lot of people from that zone here. So a statement, a press statement from this session. Then the most important thing is the group should be looking at signing defense pact with world powers. Because let me tell you what I know for sure about conflict. When conflict starts, as it is now, Buhari have the upper hand. He has the military might. He can unleash the military in the Eastern region tomorrow. And they have all the necessary money and propaganda to lobby all the top level government in Washington and in whatever to soft pedal. So whether you like it or not, the zone is in threat. So we have to be thinking of signing the defense pact, and that whatever we are doing, that should be paramount in the discussion. A lot of talk, but it's time to really, move into action. I am seeing a lot of things that will happen between now and the next 6 months and the next 12 months. And if we do not get ourselves together to really come together and move in that direction, we will be in for it. And that's my simple contribution.
Thank you very much, Marcel. And I will take, I don't know the name here quickly. No, sorry. I am Obaho, J. Obaho. Can you kindly unmute yourself?
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. The name is Obaho, Geoffrey Obaho. I am
I'm not a mind reader. I couldn't.
No, it's okay. You're doing a great job. Okay, sorry, my video is not coming on. Anyway, I think I want to thank the organizers of this forum. I'm speaking from Canada, and my brother there, Pedro Obaseki, has done a wonderful job, and all the speakers so far. But I don't think we are here to analyze the personality of Buhari. That is a foregone issue. We all know that the foundation on which Nigeria was built has crumbled. The marriage is in the state of separation. We are just working towards divorce. What I think we should be looking at right now, I don't want us to suffer from what I call the paralysis of analysis. Even as we make plans for all this, I want us not to be very carried away by not tribal sentiments, but to show that every participant will be equitably represented and not talking lopsidedly, because you keep losing people when you make it look as if it's not an Igbo issue. It's an issue of self-determination. It's an issue of everybody having means to grow. And all the tribes involved, all the nations involved in that segment should be well highlighted and given a sense of belonging. If not, there will be the fear of saying, when we win this struggle, another struggle will start again. That is one. The constitution that held us together as a nation has crumbled, is to reconstitute. But having said that, 2023 is coming. We are not playing a quick win game of tomorrow we succeed. This could take 12 months, it could take 24 months. While we are doing that, we shouldn't take our eyes from the ball. Where I say the ball is this. Election is coming. How do we influence people of like-minded minds like us here in this gathering to begin to infuse themselves into those crevices where we have sycophants going forward as we build up this self-determination drive? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And you know, obviously that's a line of thoughts, and that is well noted. Again, I would say this maybe for the last time. If you're raising your hand and your device name does not reflect a human and the name, you're not going to be called upon. Once more, before I call upon you, you must turn on your camera, please, because obviously every one of us here, you can see our faces. Then if you are not able to show us your face, then we won't be accepting you to speak to us. On that note, I will bring in Sonny Maduka quickly. If you can unmute yourself, Sonny Maduka, please, and make it quickly. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a wonderful evening, seriously. And thank you for all that I've spoken. Wonderful experience today. My question is this. Some of our leaders in Niger Delta, let me put it that, they are beneficiaries to this deformed system. And that was why yesterday, in the meeting between the defense minister and the Southeast governors, we saw and we heard what Governor Maazi said, that Igbos are indispensable in terms of being part of Nigeria. How do we get out of these sycophants, or these people who have put themselves as inferiors? Because it's like our leaders don't even understand why we need to be alone. We need to be alone because we need to progress. Being in this union, we can never go beyond what the Hausas or the Fulanis, what they've mapped out for us. So how do we get these governors, to key into this project? And of course, let them understand that what we are doing is not for us, but for generations. Is a disheartening issue for a governor to come out and in a blanket, 5 of them in blanket, talking as if they represent the entire Southeast. And meanwhile, in that Southeast, our youth are being killed, everything is being destroyed, and they won't talk about it. I expected them to even talk about what is happening in the Southeast, about the unknown gunmen. That is not unknown, but federal might that is coming in disguise. But they are telling us that we cannot leave this union that is deformed. So I just want to know, how do we tackle their problems? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Without waiting much to answer that, the guests to attempt that question, I have learned of recent the following. We most times think that the governors or those in authority are not aware. I can tell you free of charge they are. To buttress my point, recently, the governor of Oyo State, that is Akeledoru, wrote a letter to the presidential spokesperson. That letter was actually addressed to the president. Anyone who reads that letter would understand that they in power are actually, because many of them are activists as we are. They were, they knew all these things before they came to power. So thinking that they do not know, it's not correct. But there is one thing that is very African here that sometimes makes the whole thing a little bit funny. They say it is very un-African to speak while you're eating. I hope we get that. Thank you. So I'll take the next person, Henry Ogwini. Henry, quickly.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much, the organizers of this discussion and reflection. I'm calling from the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, one of the smallest countries in the world, landlocked, but not so bad. So people using the medieval argument of sport within the circle, I don't think we should actually engage the intellectual conversation, but rather engage in practices and strategies that will defeat whatever ambitions or plans they may have. There are two people I want to build my comments on their earlier comments. One of my brothers here mentioned game theory. And the game theory, there's something there we call a prisoner's dilemma. A prisoner's dilemma. That's when you get to, we catch two thieves, you put them in different rooms. You tell them, this one admit, the other one has confessed. You tell the other one admit, the other one has confessed. That's what Buhari and the TheFulani caliphate are doing with Eastern Nigeria and South Nigeria. Is this prisoner's dilemma. So what may help is what Barrister Nnadi said earlier, to publish that document of understanding, even in a very, 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 very draft, unfinished format. Circulate it with extreme speed so that it will get to every nook and cranny of both the Eastern Nigeria and the South. Because one of the other speakers actually said that some people might be saying that, oh, what if after fighting this for this independence, we start fighting for another independence? And it has been used because I've had this discussion quite a lot. In the diaspora, I was saying that, oh, apparently this person will dominate us, this person will dominate us, without caring that we are not even at this situation, we are still being dominated. Whether you come from Core Igbo, or come from Akwa Ibom, or come from Ogoja, or come from Urobo, Ishekiri, whatever. So if we can circulate that document as quickly, it don't have to be a finished document. It don't have to be a finished, but just to stop this prisoner's dilemma, these are the game theory.
Thank you.
That they are playing with us.
Thank you very much. So I would only take, 3 more questions and just 3 minutes, please. Dr. Vincent Uzoma, kindly unmute yourself and answer your question. Dr. Vincent Uzoma, please. Kindly unmute yourself.
All right, sir.
Just 1 minute, please.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, good. I'm just worried about what is going on. I'll be very quick. I'm Dr. Vincent Uzoma from United Kingdom. I'm just worried about what is going on in the Igbo land now, with this understanding that we are we have been pushed to this point, and there's a problem. What can we do now? What can we do as an immediate, solution to stop this killing? Is it not possible, all of us, as the last speaker spoke, all of us from the south, put hands together or write a communique to the president to stop this killing, and also to state our unity for one another and state our stand for one another so that this can stop, because they see it as they have the upper hand and they have a reason to exterminate the Igbos. If you think of it carefully, the economy is being destroyed, life being wasted, the structure of the Igbo land is being destroyed systematically, and nobody seems to be speaking. So I believe with this kind of gathering we have here, we can all put hands together, write a communique to the federal government, and state categorically and strongly that this killing must stop. Make reference to what happened in the north with Boko Haram. There was no killing, no soldier scheduled to go and destroy a community or an area. Look at what happened in Benue, and nobody condemned it at all. and now people are trying to defend themselves in Igbo land, and that they're being targeted. I believe
very much.
Something. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next person, Sebu Daja, please, quickly. Sebu Daja, quickly. And Father Aloysius. Sebu Daja, quickly. Then Father Aloysius, if you're able to unmute yourself, quickly go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but we can't see you. Can you click on your camera on, please?
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm driving, so it's very difficult where my gadget is.
You have 1 minute
about
to interjection. Intervention quickly.
Okay, so very quickly. First of all, I'm very glad the amazing work being and calling from the United States. Thank you very much. I really followed with interest the Nina's thing for a long time. So I'm really grateful. One of the things that had become a major problem for any success, and I think Buhari and all the Northerners understand this, is the major division within the South. In that interview, he made reference that in spite of all the agitation, some of the elders, either a governor or whatever, or one of the chiefs of the South called him and said to him that we're not going to be part of the agitation like we were during the Civil War. He made that statement. So they understood very well the problem of division among the Southerners. And what my brother Ibaho said was excellent. I think sometimes there is a sentiment that this is purely an Igbo thing. And I think that's a major mistake. And it's been a put off for so many people. And that's why I think the way Nina is approaching it is much better. It's almost like a solidarity thing. Because I can tell you, most of my friends are not Igbo. I'm Igbo myself, but most of my friends are not Igbo. And they are all with us. But sometimes they get frustrated because they don't feel included. So what can we do to change this narrative? I know IPOB has really exacerbated that and made that almost like this is an Igbo fight. But how can we change that so that we can be more united? Because if we're divided, this is not going to work. So that's my question.
That's fine. Thank you very much. And your question is well noted. I think on that note, we will bring back the guests. Yes, we will bring back the guests to now take on these questions and at the same time wrap up their train of thought so that we can call it a day. Now, I don't know if Colonel is okay. Yeah, Colonel Tony Nyang. So if you're still there, yes, quickly you can unmute. I will start with you. Yes.
First of all, let me give to start that part of President Buhari's false claim is an indication that they are frightened about the Southern and Middle Belt Alliance, because there's a lot of work being done. Which first, there was a handshake between the Yorubas and the East, a handshake across the River Niger. Secondly, there has been work done with the Middle Belt, which many of us have been involved. There's a lot of cooperation to the point that even those who used to be their willing tools have now known them for what they are. So I think it's part of that afraid of the unity between the South-South and the Southeast that accounts for what Buhari has said. I also would say this, that Hakim Baba Ahmed is civilized enough not to share in General Muhammad Buhari's mindset. Lest we forget, Buhari's armed AK-47 transnational Fulani militia are killing Hausas more than any other people. Right now, they are killing Middle Belt. They are also entering and killing the Omo Duduwas, Yoruba, and they are killing Ndibu. So the other point is, it's not an issue of Islam, because the Southwest Muslims are the ones being killed in Igangan, Iberakpa. All those places are Southwest Muslims areas. The whole thing is an issue of a war of consolidation of conquest, consolidation of the places they've already conquered, the Hausa land, and now trying to move to take advantage of Buhari's tenure in office to conquer the other part. So when we talk about the issue, it's all about colonization, nothing else. As to the advice that we should move into action, people talk about the constitution, as you rightly said. A constitution is respected if it's backed up by an appropriate national security architecture. If you have a constitution and then you still have an inappropriate or a skewed national security architecture, that constitution is only there in paper. An example is what is happening in Ethiopia now. Ethiopia has a beautiful federal constitution that is not backed up by a complementary national security architecture. This is why we have what is happening against the people of Tigray. So we need to go back to what was discussed in the Aburi Accord, to have a national security architecture in which the units in each part of the country is made up of the people who are indigenous to those people. Please, this is not new. If you go to the UK, and anybody in the UK, a Scottish regiment cannot be moved to be in English territory. All the regiments in Scotland are manned, officered by Scottish people. All the regiments in England, all the regiments in Irish. So we need an appropriate national security architecture. It is an appropriate national constitution that determines whether a constitution will be respected. And I must say, the Southeast should follow the example of the Southwest in beginning to create an appropriate national security by forcing the federal government to devolve national security powers from the center to the sub-nations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a very, those are very fine points made. Obviously, it's, there is nothing here from my side to add to these points made. And your advice to the people in charge of the Southeast is also very loud and clear. On that note, I do not know if my sister is ready. Annkio Briggs, if you're ready to speak to us again. You've listened to the questions that many have asked and the commentary so far made by these individuals. I do not know if you have anything again to add to these, to those questions, and use the same opportunity to, draw in your concluding thoughts.
Okay, thank you very much. My concluding thoughts will still go around the issues that definitely this is the time for the people, the ethnic nationalities of the Niger Delta region. The ethnic nationalities from the Middle Belt, as Tony have already said, that a lot of work has gone into, from the 2014 conference, I definitely started coming across the stories and the issues of the Middle Belt people and the oppression that they have had to live with. I really was not aware of the oppression they've had to live with. So basically, therefore, where we are today is that we've gone past all these, well, I want to believe that some people have gone past all these ideas that you can't trust this person and you can't trust that person. I say to my own people when they raise this issue, oh, you can't trust this ethnic nationality and you can't trust that. And I say to them, look, even we cannot trust ourselves. So that cannot hinder us coming together and to face our realities of today as open as they have been thrown to us since this government came into power. The fact somebody made a comment to the fact that Buhari that the issue is not about Buhari, but will Nigeria be different if Buhari goes tomorrow? No, Nigeria will never be different if Buhari goes tomorrow, because Buhari came and made it impossible for Nigeria to go, to go back, if you like, to where we were before, which is pretending that, and I made a note of that, and I let me quote myself when I was making my notes. I said, Buhari came and fearlessly damned the one Nigeria theory and forced our people to see that it is about one Fulani. That is that is my submission from even before Buhari became president, because I'm aware of his of who he is, his antics, when he was a coup leader, when he was removed, when he went to fight for his people in one, I've forgotten the state now, in one southwest state, and took a busload of people and stuff like that. So this is a man who fearlessly and unashamedly, unapologetically, have stood up for whatever it is worth, for his ethnic nationality. And so I'm compounded, if you like, when I see our people keying into the idea that that it is wrong to be ethnicized, or it is wrong for you to support or to be proud of your ethnicity. And so basically what it is, therefore, is that Nigeria can never be the same. And we have to move forward. Now, the question is, how are we moving forward? Are we moving forward as 36 states in 6 geopolitical zones with the same 1999 constitution, and where, in my case, where people tell us, oh, that oil doesn't mean anything anymore, and tomorrow there'll be no value for oil. Saudi Arabia has declared itself non-oil producing. Well, any of those things can happen. Will it work for me? No. So we need to find out for ourselves and by ourselves, what do we want? And what do we want? How and whom do we want to work together? I see the relationship between Ndibo and the Niger Delta people as one of geographical relationship, of economic relationship, of security relationship. And quite honestly, we have a blood tie with the other ethnic nationalities in Niger Delta, plus the people of Ndibo, of the former Eastern region, that we don't have with any other ethnic grouping. And I said it in my in the press release of my organization, that the blood tie we have can never, it's not anything like we can dream of having. We don't have that type of blood tie with the Fulani people, full stop. So it's entirely of, if Buhari is not afraid to do for Fulani people what he's doing for them, I see no reason why I should be afraid as a Niger person, as a Niger Delta daughter, to speak up for the ethnic nationalities of Niger Delta or of Ndibu. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that eloquent submission there. I would now want to see if Tony Nnadi is back, because I think Dr. Don Pedro Obaseki obviously has left the meeting, and I think he's in another meeting. And we thank him for the time he made out for this meeting and his fantastic contributions that he made. It's that must be said as well. So Tony Nnadi, are you still there? Obviously,
he's talking.
Tony is Tony is multitasking. Okay, because Tony is multitasking, we will be quickly be rounding up. Obviously,
there are two people with their hands.
Yes, up, so I can see two people now raising their hand. So probably we take them. But again, we've gone past questions, so let's not go back to the things that's been said before to keep regurgitating them. But 30 seconds, Nweke, Mr. Nweke, can you, Mr. or Mrs. or whichever, Mr. Nweke, can you quickly make your intervention quickly? Can you unmute?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, ma.
We can hear you, but okay. You're not putting your. Please, can you turn on your camera, please?
Yes, I'm trying. Okay, can you see me now?
Go ahead now, please.
Honestly, for like a week now, the whole thing that have been happening have been distracting me from my work, and it pains me so many times. I just feel like God should just bless so that I will start looking for a way to unite my people on time, because the way I'm speaking on behalf of we young people. I know the elderly people are more organized than us. Like, we are so disorganized. If you see the way we fight it, I mean the South and the Southeast. I know, honestly, I'm so soaked up with everything that has to do with Biafra, the war and everything. I know the war changed our ways of life, more especially the Igbo people. I know the war and ways of life very much. It affected us very much. And I know it affected our unity. But please, I'm begging our elders, please. I'm begging you in the name of God. You people are the only hope we have now. And now that you people are here, this our generation, there is a whole lot of people have to do. If you people leave us like this and go, there's going to be problem. We are so disorganized. If you see the way we fight each other, I'm telling you the truth. We are so disorganized. I can't even comfortably call a Niger Delta person brother. I have a friend that sometimes I help him to do things, but I keep convincing him that we are one. He will say, Igbo people, all these people, Igbo people marginalized. But some of us, I believe, some of us don't understand that we were old Eastern region before we are South and Southeast. That all these things are just what they are using to divide us. But I can't speak more on that. What I'm just saying now is, everybody, our elderly people, please, if you people are working, if there's anything being on background to unite us, please, you people should also try to communicate it with the young people so that we know that we are one. Because even if you people are doing underground and the young people are not aware, the fight will continue. And because that, the young people are more. No matter anything that is being done underground, if the young people are not aware, it's more like there's nothing being done. Please.
Okay.
I'm begging each and every. Thank you so much. That's what I got.
I think again, the future they say belong to the younger ones. So again, not or rather not discounting what saying. Okay. So, but having said that, it's your point is also well noted. Can you quickly unmute yourself? Sorry. So, Sep Udaja, again, 30 seconds quickly, please. We need to round up now quickly. Unmute yourself and 30 seconds. No, you've muted back again. Can you kindly unmute yourself?
I unmute now.
Okay.
You hear me?
Go ahead, yet.
Okay, thank you. The other time I was unmuting, you were muting, so there was a misunderstanding. I want to thank you for calling this conversation, and it's wonderful what our elders, Annkio, Nyiam, Dr. Obaseki, they have all been wonderful. Barrister Tony, I can't express my gratitude enough. My question is to the President Buhari. Please, President Buhari, why did you say that IPOB is Ndibo? Why did you equate IPOB to Ndibo? That's question number one. Although personally, I do not belong to IPOB, although I do not support their methods, I disagree with you, President Buhari, for proscribing IPOB. There were no terrorists. Now, in your area, President Buhari, we have Boko Haram, who have appointed you several times to be their media man, to be their mediator with the government at the time of President Jonathan, right? So, do I now equate Boko Haram to Fulanis? If you are equating IPOB, whom you named to be terrorists unjustly, if you are equating the Tondi, but then I have every right to say, President Buhari, you are Boko Haram.
Okay.
And if you are Boko Haram, why are you killing our people?
Thank you very much. I believe the president is probably going to watch. If he's not already watching, I believe he will watch, and I hope my good brother Asukwa, who does a very fantastic cartoon, would put your question in a cartoon format. That would,
I would very much appreciate that. As we are talking here, they are abducting our people in Igbo land. They are abducting people from buses and killing them.
Can we have Lord Michael, please? The last person. Thank you. Lord Michael, quickly. Turn your camera on.
Thank you.
Turn your camera on, please.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Okay, I'm just going to say this real quick. I think we should stop fighting ourselves. They say when two brothers fight, the enemies take the house. That is the first thing. We've been able to dissuade Maazi and Nnadi from insulting other Igbo people. I think Tony and Nnadi should tone down. We should stop justifying why these people will still keep killing us. Like Auntie Annkio said, we just have to come together. Let's forget our differences. Even if we don't want to come up in the open to sort our differences, there is always a back channel. If we keep fighting ourselves, then we're giving these people more ways and ways to come in between us. You see the statement Buhari made. So for me, I'm not going to dispute the fact because I know our people. We are very hungry. We can do anything just to get some little funds in our pocket. He might be saying the truth that some people must have assured him. We don't know. We need to look into us. We need to look within. We need to start telling ourselves the truth. We all have a common enemy, and we need to fight this to the last. I mean, if we miss this opportunity, there is no more. And Don Pedro Obaseki said something. I wish he was here, but maybe you can relate. Maybe in subsequent time, we'll be able to answer this. He said the Midwest did this, the Midwest that. We're the only ones that killed the white people. Maybe that is why the Fulani retaliated for the white people to kill us back. I don't know. But with all he said, I don't know his position. You know, he just gave a blanket statement. We did our referendum and this. We're the only country who was by ourselves. With all that, at the end of the day, he did not say what his stance is. Are you for or against?
No, I think, I'm sorry here, I must interject here and I must make a correction. It is very, very wrong to say that you do not know where he stands. He made his stand very clear. He started by condemning the statement made by Buhari and said that he stands with the great Igbo nation. So I do not know how clear You know, do
Okay.
you need that to
All
be
right. Okay.
printed again? But that's again your time
Okay.
is
Okay.
your time
Okay.
is up.
That's fine. That's fine. Like
So,
Auntie Annkio said, she made her own point clear. Stop killing us. You stand with people. Come out straight and stand with those people.
anyway, thank you
Well,
very much for
I
joining.
don't want to. I don't want to go into much of
No.
argument.
Again,
Anyway.
thank you very much. You know, it's very clear here. Now, people, the last comment for this evening, I yield the floor to Johnny Nosike. Johnny, kindly unmute yourself and quickly make your submission so we wrap it up here.
I thank you very much. You do a great job. I thank all the panelists. I thank everyone who has spoken today. I want to call us back to the framework that is already in place, that takes down the Constitution and works out that puts us on the path to gaining our sovereignty. Every problem we have looked at here and presented here today has a direct link to that fraudulent document that they call the 1999 Constitution. The steps and the framework to get it done is NINAS, is what NINAS has done, Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. That is where I find a solution. I am not into emotional solutions, emotional outbursts. I'm about step-by-step effort on how to get this done. I think people should study that document, study the things that have been done. Maazi Ezeoke, you've been on the front seat of this entire thing, and I thank you for the publicity this Njenje media has given to those events by NINAS. I think everyone should come online and join this effort. That is how we gain our sovereignty back. That is how we address the security questions. You cannot go into a fist fight in a fight that requires brain. I mean, there are times when you need to think your way, to strategize your way out of problems. Everything is not a fist fight. Let's follow this singular thing instead of going from one thing to another, and follow this map to our sovereignty.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Johnny Nosike there. And people, it has been a 2 hour of a conversation that we have looked at, you know, various elements analyzed and suggestions made. Many of you agree, and I have not seen any single speaker who is in support, irrespective of which region that he or she came from. I have not seen any one of us who is in support of that statement. Some have alluded and said that this statement is uncalled for, it's unstatesmanship, it's, I think, Elder Colonel Tony Nyiam there said that this statement is Machiavellian in nature. And I note that. Again, many of you have asked questions, and the question is, what can we do? Some of you say, how are we going to move on from here? Irrespective of what your question is, irrespective of what your train of thought is, one thing is that it should be very clear to us that we are together as a people. When an injustice is done to one of us and it is not addressed, it becomes an injustice to another. Therefore, I use the opportunity this evening to call on all of us, and once more to thank all of us for your intervention, for your time, for your data. Many of us watching on the internet. This is being streamed live, and we have over 3,000 people watching on over all the social media platforms. It's because that the people are feeling uneasy, that these things that they hear sound so unpresidential. And some can even go further to say that these things, like one of the contributors said, that has some element of war strategy in it, even when a military personnel here disagreed with that. But again, for those of us saying, what are we doing? I always say in my programs that conversation is an art. We've been conversing. In conversation, we learn with one another, we unpick things that are hidden, and we intend to improve what is happening. When we say, oh, we want action, don't you know that conversation is action? Because someone speaks, you listen, you think, you react. That's action. In action, because even in the Bible, it says, the one in the parable of the seed seed sower, you know, trying to, and that is an act of conversation, engaging in sowing these seeds. When you do and you sow the seeds, that's why Christians go to evangelism. You sow the seed, some will fall on deaf ear, some would eventually not germinate, and some would germinate and do more. When people listen, they begin to think, and they think deeper. But this evening, we are walking away with something that this majority of the people from the South-South, the South-South leaders here and elders that joined this conversation this evening said unequivocally here that nothing was extracted and nothing was given to the president. And we had someone from the United States of America who said it actually, that approach is a gangster approach, because if you are a sovereign nation, nothing is ceded to individuals, and not individuals that can actually say that they are going to be blocking or protecting this particular thing. Again, it has been a wonderful conversation. I cannot thank us collectively enough, all the people. And there are some of us who ought to have joined us, but sadly, the network and internet connection, it appears because it's June 12th, some have gone to the village and the connection was indeed bad. I will use the opportunity to say thank you to Asari Dokubo, who eventually didn't make it in, and our mother here, the person I fondly refer to, the Amazon of the Niger Delta. Thank you very much, Annkio Briggs, for always being ready to come on and air your views without fear. The same goes to Dr. Don Pedro Obaseki, who joined us from the great kingdom of Benin. Mr. Tony Nnadi, who also a great firefighter. Sometimes I ask myself, I do not know where he gets this energy. He could be firing from all cylinders, like a very big truck. Once more, joining us, or rather joined us from the Niger Delta as well, Colonel Tony Nyang. Colonel Tony Nyang, as he rightly said here, but he didn't, I don't know if many of you picked up what he actually said. I don't want to repeat that, but in my language, if I want to simplify it, what he alluded to was there was a time they became restive and they tried correcting what would have been different if that stood. When him and many others, including the late Gideon Okar, engaged in a surgical operation to right some of the wrongs. Sadly, again, the internet could not allow us to have Rear Admiral Geoffrey Yanga. Sadly. But here we are. We are now at the end of this conversation. Once more, I say, I am deeply grateful that all of us have come together to have this conversation. And we are walking away, talking to ourselves, saying we are better together as a people in this case. We are making this promise, and I'm reaffirming this promise on our behalf. These are promises made here when we say we have got each other's back. They can no longer divide us. One of us said, we are no longer in the 60s, that we are in the 21st century. The battlefield has changed. It's no longer the same. On that note, I will say thank you once more, everyone, for your time this evening. Thank you once more.